Did you see those 6 private security guys who tried to drag a woman out of a town hall a few months ago are getting charged? I did see that. Actually, like, really great news. I mean, we'll see what the actual, what the proceedings look like. But, no, that is very good news. You remember that, right? That was when that lady was getting dragged out, and she handled the situation like the best possible way, being loud and confrontational, being not like physically resisting, but like maintaining her composure. You know, like she did remarkably well. Yeah, you probably remember from the frame alone. Charges against all 6 men. Wow, quite a bit of charges. Battery, false imprisonment, security agent uniform violation, security agent duties violation. Huh. Damn. That's a pretty aggressive... The prosecutors, was this in Marjorie Taylor Greene's town hall? No. This happened like 2 months ago. I forget whose town hall it was. Kootenai County GOP meeting on Saturday. Yeah. This was a while ago. The prosecutors are being pretty aggressive. False imprisonment? No. I'm not saying they're illegitimate. I'm just saying that it indicates, you know, a bit of grit on the part of the prosecution. Are they state charges? Yes. Yeah. You can reasonably assume that all charges are state charges unless they happen in DC, an airport, or any other federal building, or you hear about the FBI specifically being involved. There's municipal code stuff too, misdemeanors. Sure, but we're looking at battery and false imprisonment here, so not municipal code stuff. And the business license for the private security firm was revoked for violating city ordinances regarding security agencies. Yeah, okay. I just talked with an Italian colleague about pizza bolla, and it turns out to Italians the name is equally absurd. Yeah, no, that's not a normal Italian name. Like, we joke, but if you met a guy and his name is mozzarella pizza bolla or whatever, then like the average Italian would assume you were making jokes. Like they would assume you're being racist to them. Oh yeah, you hear about the new archdiocese of fucking Jerusalem? Yeah, pizza bolla. And then the Italian coworker's like, okay, come on, like, what's his name? He's like, no, that's actually his name. Your people are absurd. I'm confused. Didn't they just escort her out? Dog, they like yoinked her. They hit her with the damn yoinky splanky. Well, the video has to play for me to...
A Kootenai County Town Hall turned...
See, they're yoinking. Overwhelmingly, you know, the law doesn't permit this. There are some circumstances where as a private citizen or as an agent of security, you are allowed to use force, usually in the defense of others, or if you've already committed a crime, they can hold you like citizen's arrest stuff. But it's complicated, it's legally dicey, and it's risky, which is why overwhelmingly, like, security won't stop you. You know, that's the reason why, by the way, over the past 10 years, when you guys go into like the downtown urban grocery stores or whatever, it used to be the security guard was just a guy wearing like a black dress shirt and black vest, right? And he would just stand there at a podium or something. And now there's a guy with like a SWAT vest with a walkie-talkie and a firearm. And the reason for the upgrade is because the first group of people, the guy just with the vest, that's just an employee. He's not going to touch you. Why the f would he do that? You could steal $100 of merchandise. If he tackles you and you get injured, they're out $100,000 in damages. You know, if they sue, not worth it. But those the security guards with the guns, they're licensed up to the gills, right? They can do stuff. They have a bunch of insurance and legal protections, licenses, and so on. They're still not cops, mind you. But they do have more leeway. Yeah, they're usually off-duty cops, veterans, mercenaries, ex-mercenaries. It pays well. I'm surprised you can sue despite attempted robbery. No, that's a good thing. Yeah, 100%. There's no, like, you shoplift $100 of, like, shampoo, and then some, like, dicked up thumb of a security guard is like, stop, in the name of the law, and tackles you and you break your leg or something. Like, no, that. It's important to, like, you need to have a good reason to tackle someone, and you know, like a really good reason. I don't know, man. The loss prevention at my job tackles and handcuffs people occasionally. Where the f do you work? The 1980s New York, circa Escape from New York? Has Snake Plissken dropped by? What are you talking about? Detroit in RoboCop? Yeah, El Salvador? Where the f are you working? That's crazy. Oh, okay, I'm only speaking from experience here, but like for the most part, companies do not want that legal liability. What is loss prevention? Loss prevention is when a person is a security guard, but they can't do anything. So their job is just to intimidate people by standing around.
A Kootenai County Town Hall turned chaotic Saturday as video shows Teresa Borenpol being forcibly removed from the audience after repeatedly interrupting speakers. Witnesses described the event hosted by Kootenai County.
Didn't you do that? Or was that bouncing? I'm thinking of, yeah, it was loss prevention for a bit. And yeah, I didn't really do anything. I mean, basically just got paid to like stand around and be bored, which, you know, whatever. My main job was escorting homeless people off the premises, which to my credit, by the way, I basically never did. Whenever management would tell me to do it, I'd be like, I don't want to. My tummy hurts. There was one time I actually had to, and it was because a guy was being crazy in the bathroom. He was like on the ground wiggling around and shit. I had to go talk to him, but like he was being pretty weird. Wasn't that the issue with that wasn't him being homeless. I don't know if he was homeless or not. He was just being weird. He was worm moding.
County Republican Central Committee as heated, with many audience members heckling the speakers.
Please don't wiggle here, sir. Sir, stop the wiggling now! Just, you know, it was a pretty chill job.
It was presented that it was a town hall for our community.
But according to committee chairman Brent Reagan, the event rules were laid out clearly.
We are meeting in a public building, we have public officials, but this is actually a private event. If there's any disturbances where people can't maintain decorum, we have security here and you'll be escorted out of the building.
According to Reagan, all 450 attendees were warned twice about the rules. He says Borenpol interrupted speakers at least 7 times, was warned 3 times, and asked by Sheriff Bob Norris to leave 5 times before security intervened.
And he also threatened to pepper spray her.
The video shows security, later identified as private contractors, grabbing Borenpol and dragging her out. She was later cited for battery and trespassing after allegedly biting one of the guards.
He was in plain clothes and gestured to the men in the dark shirts to get her.
While they recognized Sheriff Norris was involved in the incident, the Kootenai County Sheriff's Office issued a statement saying there were no Kootenai County deputies or personnel present. The Coeur d'Alene Police Department is handling the investigation.
Yeah, that's essentially the end of it, right? Like, why were there no cops here? You know what I think it was? If the sheriff was present, but he was only there in the capacity of being security, my guess is that security, that security firm that got disbanded, that had their business license revoked, was a shady corruption scheme to funnel more money to the cops. Like, rather than being there as a cop, you can get a cop there, but you pay him more, because in addition to the police officer's wages, now he has the private wages from being a member of the security company, right? But when he's there as a security officer, he doesn't have the same rules and restrictions applying to him that they do for cops. No body camera, no like regulations with regard to behavior, don't have to log the shit that you do. It's all just like, oh, you're essentially there as like a thug, but you're a cop, right? So it's a way of like skirting the law. Like, you basically have a cop there with all the power of a cop. I mean, he's the sheriff. He's not just like a regular cop either. Like, he's a person with power in this environment. But he's acting like outside the artifice of the job. So this is like very dangerous, and it's really good that they're cracking down on it. Really, really good. Now, if he was there as a sheriff and he said, you know, sorry, man, but you're going to have to leave, that would be the end of it, and there would be no charges. And presumably, she wouldn't have resisted, because if she's asked to leave by a police officer, I'm going to, you know, word to the wise folks, you should probably listen to the police officer. Do cops have the same privileges when they're off duty? No. Well, it's complicated. It's possible for an off-duty cop to be retrospectively given the privileges of a police officer if they engage in police activity while they're off duty. But for the most part, no. And certainly not here, because he's not just off duty, he's acting as a security agent for a private company. Retroactively, like my understanding, and this varies a lot, like area to area, but my understanding is like, if there's an off-duty cop in a cafe and then a guy comes in and like robs someone else, and the off-duty cop is like, whoop, and like draws or like tackles the guy or something, that's not considered a private citizen interrupting a robbery, right? That guy will get treated as a cop. That cop will be like, yeah, I was off duty, but you know, I have my gun on me, I have my badge on me, right? Like I did what I would have done if I was on duty, right? And for the most part, everyone accepts that's fine. I think that's reasonable. Like, if you're a cop and you're just like not on the job yet, but a crime happens around you. Like, okay, I understand. It'd be a little bit silly if the cop was like, well, I can't tackle him because I don't have the qualified immunity. Like, I might get sued or something. Like, it's dicey, but like, I understand. But it's different if you're there as private security, because then you're very obviously trying to skirt the rules and regulations surrounding like police officer behavior. If he was just there as a sheriff and asked her to leave, that would be the end of it. You get me. Do sheriffs get special treatment off duty or something? Sheriffs are cops. A sheriff just operates on a county level and police operate at a city level. So that's why when you're driving around on the highway, you usually see sheriff's vehicles, because the highways often take you outside city limits, but you're still within the county, because everything in America more or less is within a county. So for the most part, yeah, you interact with sheriffs when you're out in the boonies and police officers when you're in the city. Though in a lot of rural cities, like, towns that don't have many people in it, oftentimes it's just sheriffs doing the work anyway, because there aren't that many police officers there. They don't have the budget to like have a local police department. Or troopers? Well, troopers are state police, and that's a little different. That'd be like the California Highway Patrol, and that's at the state level. And now you're getting to like another level of bureaucracy that gets a little more complicated depending on what state you're in or whatever. My understanding, in my experience, is that state troopers are either chill dudes or Hitler. They have a lot of power, and it seems like some of them act basically like park rangers, where they basically just want to wear a big hat and drive around. And some of them act like they have the power that they do. But I'm kind of speaking generally here. You get me. Sheriffs are the ones with the stars on the chest and have a 6-shooter on his hip riding on a horse, right? Yeah, essentially. The reason why sheriffs are so associated with Western culture is because you had a lot of like unincorporated areas back in the day where you had towns that weren't officially towns, so the only law over there were sheriffs. That's why you had sheriff's department, sheriff deputy, right? Because they weren't like, they didn't have cities to have city police. There's also the metro police, but that's generally for big cities. Yeah, and those still fall under like the auspices of the police. That's still like a city level thing. Sheriffs came around before police departments. Yeah, the idea of a sheriff goes back like centuries and centuries. Police are a relatively new thing that are born more or less out of like American slave patrols, because they have basically like different responsibilities. It used to be a sheriff was literally like the law of the local like constable or noble or whatever. And if the constable or noble or whatever was like, hey, we need this guy killed, the sheriff was like, yep, yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's right. And then they'd go out and do it. Sheriff of Nottingham comes to mind. Yeah, well, we know because of Robin Hood, but the point is that the term goes back a while. Like, the idea of police nowadays, the idea of, like, a city-dependent, local law enforcement agency is different to what a sheriff used to be. A sheriff being like... Guys, for a long time, the sheriff was basically, like, a bounty hunter, right? Like, you'd have a sheriff's office, and it'd be the only one around for 20 miles, and they would just, like, get reports and writings and, like... charcoal drawings of people who would do crimes, and they'd be like, yep, gotta deputize. That's why they deputize people, because you'd have like one sheriff and he'd be like, let's gather some like guys who are decent shots in the town and we're gonna go hunt this guy, and that's also why sheriffs are elected, because their unique position meant they had to be trusted by their community, right? Police don't really have to be trusted by their community. I mean, they should be, but they operate well, not really well. Basically, what I'm saying is that the way sheriffs used to operate kind of relied on community trust for them to do these, like, big gang hunts, which is exactly what they were for. And they still deputize people, by the way. They still do that. This is also weirdly American. Well, a lot of it comes from Britain, but yeah, it's pretty American. Why sheriffs are elected democratically and still are bad? Well, who do you think is paying attention to their local sheriff's election, right? Probably not a lot of, like, actual democracy going on there. Also... sheriffs tend to act differently than police. It's complicated, but they're still cops. It really depends on what area you're in, Sheriffs run the jails too. That is true, because you have county jails, right? Sheriffs run the jails because county jails are, yeah. You have state prisons, county jails. So sheriffs run the jails. Sorry, we kind of got sidetracked here. I thought wardens ran the jails. Well, a warden is just a person who, like, has that job. But a county jail, since it's a county-level institution, it's run by the sheriff's department. This is why jails are usually worse than prisons, too. Yep, in a lot of cases. Jails are often, like, absolute shit because they're essentially run by a bunch of, like, beefed-up cops Whereas prisons are run by the state or federal government and have a wider set of regulations and guidelines and so on. Both are pretty bad, though. American prisons are uniquely inhumane. Wait, there's a difference? Yes. If you're only held in custody for like a day or two, you might just stay in the drunk tank at your local police station. If you're held for pre-trial detention or a sentence that is a year or less, you get held in a county jail, usually. A county jail is squalid, disgusting. You often get packed into jail cells with multiple other people, like a bunch of people packed into a single room. You have like very few provisions or protections when it comes to your free time or your treatment. It's basically like a drunk tank, but you can be there for up to a year. State and federal prisons are also awful, but they have like a little bit more with regard to, you know, what you're expected to be provided in terms of like, you know, free time, food,